Florentine Action Wrestling's guide to a neat backyard barbecue. Make sure to set up in an open space. Purchase premium cuts of meat for excellent flavor. Invite your friends over to ensure a good time. Bring out a ball for Junior. And be sure to kick plenty of ass.
1, 2, we have a new champion! It's a Tommy Kick! The juice box has been sapped! And I am not that vagrant. Not that vagrant kind.
Florentine Action Wrestling's Backyard Barbecue. Saturday, May 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on 2MB.
Welcome to the Midnight Creepout. I am Creep Mistress Jessica, but this week that is a misnomer because my good friend Ben Scaria, who's here with me, is going to be the one doing the creeping.
Man,
are you ready to creep?
I'm going to be a little bit of the creep, but you're gonna get to be a little creepy. You're going to tell
I got a good one.
A good one. For those who don't know, welcome to the show. We're talking about ghosts this week. We're talking about hauntings, and there are a gazillion ways to go about this. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about one local haunting here in Massachusetts that I am a big fan of. Then we're each going to tell a personal story about the paranormal that happened to us separately, obviously, but we each have a separate story. And then this week, we finally have gotten it to work. We're going to throw the Zoom link in the chat, and anybody watching the show, you can hop in the Zoom, and we'll pop you in, and you will get to tell your story. I would say don't hop in right now, or you will be waiting a long time. We'll let you know when to hop in, but there's the link, and we'll post it again a couple more times throughout the show just to get you ready for that. Maybe it'll work.
In the chat with their vote of confidence.
Yeah, I got
that.
faith.
Thanks.
I got faith. Baby steps. The first week we talked about it and didn't do anything. Then the next week we tried it and failed. This week we get it right.
Hopefully.
Ben,
before we jump in, are you a big believer in ghosts and hauntings and that kind of thing?
Yeah, actually, I would say like ghosts are probably the thing that I believe in most. But I'm also a healthy skeptic. I think, like most paranormal things, right? I think 95% of the stories are hogwash, right? Or maybe even more than that. I just also like the fact that I use the word hogwash. Apparently, I'm 70 years old.
It's a great word. It's a good word.
Right, I think most of the stories are not true, or your mind tricks you into hearing or seeing something. But I totally believe this idea. For me, ghosts are. Oh man, we can go into this. So like we're all made up of energy and matter, right? And so to me, if we leave the world in a either violent way or a quick way, or maybe a way where we're just not fully ready to have left, that some of our energy or matter stays around, and our brains, which we don't know how our brains work at all, they perceive that energy, right? And they sort of they make sense of it, right? So when we see somebody, it's not like that person is still there. It's like an echo of that person to me,
Yeah.
right, almost like a photo, like our brains just filling in the blanks on this thing, which is why it's creepy. So a lot of times it's incomplete. So I don't know. That's my take on it. What about you?
So I would say, I as a kid, I was really big into hauntings. I thought they were super, super cool. As I've gotten older, I've become less and less, I don't know, into it. I'll say. I don't want to use the word gullible. I just did. But I agree with you that, there are some pieces of footage that I'm just like, what? Because we had briefly talked about in the chat earlier today, the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and there's some really cool shit from the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and that's why I was like, just kidding. We're not gonna do that one. I want to do that one right. We got to do that one right.
Yeah, we're gonna do that one on its own show. It's gonna get its own full time because the St. Augustine Lighthouse is bonkers.
That's a real fucking good one. But there's some stuff that nothing's scarier than a lit house. Shut up, David. Get out of here. But I agree with you. I feel like I think I was saying this maybe last week or something that just like you were saying, our brains and whatever, and we don't quite perceive the whole thing like maybe it's like it is. We're filling in blanks, but also time is not actually linear. Right? We perceive time linearly, but that's not actually how it exists as a dimension, right? So it's possible, maybe, that that we're seeing echoes or imprints or overlaps, of other times, and
that makes a lot of sense to me as well.
Maybe we're the ghosts for other people,
I love that idea, and I still think you should write a screenplay about that, about how when ghosts see us too, they're like, "Who the fuck is that?" Right.
Well, I think they did, right? That was The Others with Nicole Kidman. Pretty sure.
That's true. I guess you're right. Touche. Okay. Too late. It was interesting too to hear you say as you got older, and I do think part of that is like definitely we begin more skeptical and less questioning. But I also there's a well-known link, established fact that sort of children are a better conduit to the paranormal. I think it's because they don't have the sort of bias against it, so their brains are more open to seeing things and accepting what they're seeing instead of sort of shrugging it off as something else.
That actually links back to will be relevant for my story when the time comes.
Awesome. Yeah, like we could do a whole show on kids and how kids talk to dead people all the time, or they have like imaginary friends, right? And I think a lot of the time when kids have imaginary friends, sometimes they are again processing something that they don't understand, right? Their brains are just making sense of something that's going on.
Yeah, that just reminded me. I got to write down for a future show, reincarnation, because that's a fun thing.
Ooh, that is a fun thing.
A good one. Where's my notepad? There it is. Read all my notes for my shows.
But we are going to start the show talking about, we almost talked about Melanie Lanier or Lanier. I'm not sure how to say her name, but she's the lady in black. We will tell that story at some point. It's a great story about a ghost here in the Boston Harbor. But instead, we are going to travel north and just a little bit west to North Adams, Massachusetts, to talk about the Houghton Mansion. the Houghton Mansion. Albert Charles Houghton was a millionaire in the 1920s. And he worked. He was like a work guy, right? Like all he did was work. That's all. And he finally decided. It was 1908, actually. 1908, he decided he's going to buy one of these new automobiles that everybody's talking about. And he buys a 7-seat touring automobile, and he teaches his longtime butler, John Witters, how to drive his car. And so John Witters, one day, Albert's like, I want to go on a drive. And so Albert gets in the car with his daughter, Mary Houghton. And of course, John is driving. And then they asked their neighbors to come. What are the neighbors' names? Robert Hutton and his wife, Sybil. And so they all get in the car and they're driving, and they go up to Vermont, Pownell, Vermont, I believe. Mm-hmm. And there's some road work. And so John Witters tries to go around the road work. And although the car is only going 12 miles an hour, it slips on the soft side and it tumbles down a hill, flipping over 3 times, ejecting everybody from the car except the daughter, Mary. Sybil Hutton gets the worst of it because the car lands on her, killing her instantly. Mary, although she didn't get ejected from the car, died later that day at a hospital from her injuries. All 3 gentlemen walked away basically without a scratch.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they got flung from a car that flipped over 3 times. But again, it was only going 12 miles an hour.
Right.
So they were able to sort of, be thrown free of the car, and they were fine. 10 days later, Albert Charles Houghton drops dead. He was in perfect health, but people say he died of a broken heart. Right? He just his daughter. His daughter died, and he and his daughter were alone. And he just didn't want to keep living without her, and sort of blamed himself for it. Another person blamed themselves for it, and that was John Witters, the chauffeur / butler, who a few days after that went down into the basement of the horse barn with the horse gun. And I love that there is a horse gun.
What's a horse gun?
It's to put down the horses when they get hurt.
God. Yikes.
And he killed himself. So the only one to walk away was Mr. Sutton. You never hear from him again. He's not part of the story at all. But he somehow got off scot-free. Wow. Soon after that house, the Houghton Mansion, people began to hear and see things. They began to see shadow people. Right. They began to see lights flickering in that house when nobody should be there. Mm-hmm. And then that house got sold, and it became a Masonic temple, Masonic lodge. Right.
Okay.
And the Masonic lodge, then it began to get worse. Right. And they're not sure whether it's because the Masons are, doing weird shit and who knows, or whether it's just, they said a lot of the time when you rebuild haunted places or build onto or try to change places, you sort of awaken stuff. Yeah. It's sort of like dusting something out, right? Like if you move it and the dust comes out. Yeah. And so 2 really cool stories that the Masons tell. One, the carekeeper and his wife were upstairs working, and they heard the sound of rustling papers as if somebody was working at the table, and they knew that they were the only people in there. And as they walked closer to the room, the rustling got louder until it got so loud that it actually forced them from the house before they could even make it into the room. Like the racket got to such an unholy level. So that's pretty creepy.
Wow.
And the other pretty creepy thing is there were a couple Masons there, and it was during a pretty bad snowstorm, and they were drinking or like hanging out in the Mason bar. I don't know. I've never been to a Mason temple, but like wherever they are when they're not doing their thing, and they heard the sliding glass door open to the outside. They heard somebody stomping their boots like they were knocking off snow. And then they heard somebody walking down the hall, but nobody came around the corner at all. So then they went and looked, and there were no footprints outside the door, no tire tracks came up to the house. Like it was fresh snow. Everything was still untouched. And so that totally freaked them out. And there have been all sorts of sightings. So this is a pretty famous haunted house. And so at one point, I don't know, ghost hunters or somebody set up, their cameras in the house.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to show this 35-second video clip.
Yay!
Let's see if I can get this going here. I will say look sort of towards this area, right in the center. Oop.
Okay.
And they'll show it again. And they'll circle the area to look.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, man.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of movement.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of movement. I agree with that, Dave Thomas. Yeah, every ghost clip does look like B-roll footage from I Love Lucy. Yeah, it's never like here's crystal clear footage of a ghost. Yeah. It is always here's really shitty looking footage of a ghost that we just happened to capture. But that's because it's capturing it in zero light. It's like super dark in there, and they're using night vision and all that jazz. But that's the Haunted Mansion, which is a very cool mansion, and you can go visit that mansion. It is in North Adams, Massachusetts, and it's still, I guess, it's still a Mason Lodge, but you can go check it out, and they have tours, and you can yourself try to see one of the supposed 3 ghosts that haunt the mansion.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh man, what a creepy story. That's when they're it's like surrounded by so much tragedy, I feel like it's like even creepier and scarier, like the daughter dies, the wife dies, the neighbor's wife dies, and then the 3 men just walk away for some reason. It's like kind of eerie. It's kind of weird, right? And then Albert dies of a broken heart, and then what's his face, Withers or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Withers, yeah.
Kills himself in the basement. It's like, oh, like, it started out pretty haunted, but it got more and more haunted as time went on. That is awful.
Totally. I think it can ripple out like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty creepy. And I also, I think, you never hear about like, we're haunted by the ghost of that person who died peacefully in their sleep. Right? That's never something you hear. So I do think the more tragic and sudden it is, the more likely that some of that energy will stick around, will not dissipate as sort of freely and easily, right?
Yeah, yes. Oh man. We gotta, dude, when my elbow heals, we gotta fucking take like a weekend trip around, do like some like the haunted places and like get some footage and like fucking
yes I know we talked about doing a trip last week on the show, but that was a pretty far trip. We were gonna go to Pennsylvania and check out or West Virginia and check out the Mothman town, the Mothman Festival, if they were doing it again this year. But this seems more doable. This seems
definitely
more doable for sure. Taking a trip out and checking us out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we got to check all this shit out.
All right. Well, we've reached the part of the show where we're going to tell our stories, and then once again, it'll be your turn to tell us some stories. You can hop in the Zoom and let us know all of your creepy stories. But Creep Mistress Jessica, do you have a story?
I do. So I've never truly experienced something otherworldly myself. There was a time where I used to work at the House of the Seven Gables in Salem. And one time I was climbing up. I don't remember why. I wasn't leading a tour. I don't know why I was going up there, but I was going up the secret staircase to the attic. And I could have sworn I felt something touch me from behind. It was like real. It wasn't just like something like, whew, it was like something touched me. And I like turned around and there was nothing there. And I was like, okay, what the fuck was that? But a better story, I think, comes from my mom. And my brother is actually the one who experienced it, but he was so young that he doesn't remember it. He was about 3 years old. So my brother was born in 1971, so he's about to turn 50 this year. Happy birthday, Michael.
Yeah.
So my parents, he was born in 1971. I think my parents moved into the house. My mom still lives there today. Probably just before he was born. So maybe like winter of 70, January of 1971, something like that. He was born in July. And then, maybe 3 years later. So it's like 1974. And my brother used to sleep in a crib for his nap, right? But then they changed it to a bed. And once they changed it to a bed, my brother was having a harder time sleeping in the little toddler bed, right? And when my mom, would go in to check on him, he would say, the man, there's a man. And she'd be like, what man? There's a man. There's a man in the room, there's a man, just, whatever. So, right. Creepy, right?
Yeah.
But it gets kind of funny. It's kind of funny, kind of sad, kind of terrible. It's like, it's all the things. So come to find out, my brother's bedroom is a little room that is very close to where the garage is. So his bedroom looks out on the porch, and the porch is right above the garage. And the couple who lived in my parents' house, my mom's house, before they moved in, were two women. It was 2 women who, they weren't married, but how lesbians did in this 60s and 70s. They just were 2 single women who lived together, right? And one of them, I don't know the exact circumstances around it, but one of them killed herself in the garage with the exhaust from her vehicle, right? So she shut the garage door, did the thing with the hose, right, and killed herself. So then it occurred to me that if this was a woman who was a lesbian, maybe she had a short haircut. And maybe my brother, being 3 years old, identified that as a man. So my brother is seeing the ghost of this lesbian woman who killed herself in the garage in the late 60s.
All right, that freaks me out. But he thinks it's a man.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of funny, because, I totally get that as a 3-year-old.
Sure. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Dude, I've been mistaken for a man several times. Not by children.
Does your brother still remember this and still talk about this and still?
No. He has no memory because he had just turned 3.
Yeah.
He was barely speaking in 2 and 3 word phrases. So no, he does not remember, but my mom does.
Oh man.
It's a good one, right? Ooh.
That is a good
But
one.
I've never, and then when I was a child, that bedroom was mine. But I never, that I can recall, that my mom recalls, I never saw anything. I don't know.
That's all right. All right. I don't like kids and ghosts. I've got a story that I'm going to tell here. And then I actually have a story that I want to read really quickly. That is a true story from about a really creepy thing that happened as I was talking about like a kid feeling stuff. So, but I'll tell my story first. This happened I must have been 21, and I was in Vermont. I was going to school there, and I went to school for a while in Putney, Vermont. And Putney, Vermont is a really small town, and there's a road that loops. There's like the main road, and then there's a road that loops off of that called River Road. And on River Road,
Can I interrupt you for just a quick second?
yeah, sure.
So, have you ever heard of synchronicities? Synchronicities. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's like when something weird just kind of like adds up for some reason, and it just seems kind of like, huh, that's strange. Do you know what road I grew up on that the house is on?
Oh no, come on.
It's River Road.
Okay. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that freaks me out. Not freaks me out, but that gives me like chills. I think that's cool. I think that's like the Matrix, right? We're in a simulation. Yeah. There's only like a certain number of things. And you keep recycling them.
Sorry, so
no, so that's fine.
Off the main road.
So off the main road was River Road, and River Road was a road that we used to go drive on, and there were a couple spots that used to be able to stop and hang out and smoke weed or drink a beer or do things that you maybe didn't want to do on campus. And so there was one place called the Mansion, and the Mansion was this giant open field, and on one side of River Road, giant open field, and there were ruins there. Ruins. I mean, it wasn't like wasn't a castle, but it basically was. I mean, it was an outline or a base of a huge house, and this was a house from like the early 1700s. So like it was stone. It was like a stone house. And it was, especially for the time, really large. At the time, Vermont, I mean, it's called Vermont, right? But the funny thing is they named it Vermont and then proceeded to clear cut most of the state because they were sheep farmers, right? And so until they replanted, I'm getting off track here, but it's hard to find an old growth tree in Vermont. It's like hard to find a tree that's older than like 150 years because they were all chopped down. And so there's a giant open field where this house used to stand. And then across the road was another smaller field where there was also a little pond. And the pond trickled on a creek sort of by the house. And over there were the slave quarters because this was a house that supposedly had slaves. Vermont got rid of their slaves in like 1777. But this was pre that, and they had slaves there. And according to this is all like urban legend, right? That was passed down at our school, right? According to legend, there was a huge fire, and everything burned down. But a lot of the slave died because they couldn't get out of their quarters. So right through all the family survived. Their servants, their slaves did not. Whatever. That's the backstory. It's told, right? We were all creepy. Nobody believed it really. It was a place to go hang out and like party, like I said. So we were there one day at like, it wasn't dark. It was like midday, 2, 3 in the afternoon, and we were just hanging out. And we started talking about the history of the place. And we started like sort of trying to creep each other out a little bit. Not creep each other out, but sort of talking about right the thing, because you can see the outline of everything. And we started to tell the story. And then I don't know how to describe it. I didn't see anything. But all of a sudden I just was like I was being told to like get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like it was just like there was like it was not and again not like a voice. It wasn't like there was nobody being like leave here, but like it was a feeling that came over me that made me almost nauseous, where I was just like, we need to go. And my friends were like, what? And I was like, we're not supposed to be here right now. And they were like, ha ha ha. And I was like, yeah, cool. If you want to be here, fine. I'm gonna go back to the car. And I walked out, and the second I came like up the path and onto the main road, the feeling went away. Like, and I don't
Wow.
right, like to me, I always found it creepier that like if I had seen something, I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. But like I can't explain like the feeling that washed over me of like of being like, get out. Like this isn't where you should be.
Yeah.
Right. Like
That's
if there
wild.
were doors, they would have like slammed what?
So that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's creepy, and I don't know what caused that. I don't know what did that. Maybe it was just me freaking out, right? Maybe it was
Yeah.
just everything coming together, but it felt very purposeful, right? It felt like something was being like
Intentional. Yeah.
intentional in that feeling, which is like real creepy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my like ghost story.
Wow.
Such as it is. Such as it is.
Yeah.
So we're almost at the part of the show where we're gonna have you hop in the Zoom and tell us some ghost stories that you know that's happened to you, or that if you just know a really good one, that's fine too. I'm gonna tell one more story. This is a true story, and it goes to talk about what we were talking about
Right.
how kids can sometimes feel things or see things that didn't. So this is from the Daily News from February 19th, 2015. So this is from 2015. Was a woman who died in a devastating Chicago hotel blaze more than 20 years ago reincarnated as a little boy? That's the bizarre claim of Ohio 5-year-old Luke Ruhlman, who is apparently convinced he was once called Pam and perished in a previous life after leaping from a burning building. His mother, Erica, said he started to talk about the unknown woman when he was just 2 years old. She had no idea where the toddler picked the name up, as the Cincinnati family didn't know any Pams. When she quizzed him further, he revealed that he actually used to be called Pam, who he described as a girl with black hair. He was like, well, I used to be her, but I died, went up to heaven, and I saw God, and eventually God pushed me back down, and when I woke up, I was a baby, and you named me Luke. Ruhlman was stunned, so she pressed him more and asked how she died. He looked right up at me and said, yeah, it was a fire, and at that point, he made a motion like his hand, like he was jumping off of a building. She claims he then detailed how Pam lost her life in a tall building and had previously traveled on the train to Chicago. Ruhlman was bewildered as the family had never visited Chicago, and she didn't even remember ever mentioning it to her son. So she did some internet digging and discovered that a blaze at the Chicago Paxton Hotel had claimed the lives of 19 people in 1993. One of the victims was a woman in her 30s named Pamela Robertson.
No.
Luke's grandmother, Lisa Trump, was convinced that the story was not just a coincidence. The family then appeared on the Ghost Inside My Child show on the Lifetime Movie Network, in which Luke immediately picked out Pam's picture. They then contacted Pam's daughter and discovered the child and her late mom enjoyed the same kind of music. But soon after, Luke appeared to just let the memory of the woman go. It was like he got it out. He was finished and had nothing more to say about it. Yeah.
I love that shit.
Right?
It's like, how? How could he possibly, like,
How
You
can you get that
know-
many details right?
right?
right? Like it'd be one thing to get one right, it'd be one thing to get like, but to be like, I know the name and how I died and where I died,
Right.
is just a little too much coincidence for me.
Yeah. That's great though. Oh God, I love it. I love it. That's
All right.
great.
All right,
exactly,
Jess.
that's exactly what I know. We got to get to Jess Cashin, but that's exactly what I want to talk about because when I wrote down the reincarnation thing, because it made me think of stories I've heard just like that. Oh,
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, we're gonna have a whole night on that. All right, friends. Our inaugural Zoom is gonna kick off with our good friend Jess Cashin. She's gonna tell us a story. Everybody, welcome Jess to the show. Hey, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air.
Okay, hold on. I can't hear you through Zoom, so I have to listen to you on Twitch.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. So you're gonna have to
I'll hear
listen.
myself back.
When you start talking, you can mute your computer, and we'll still be able to hear you, even though you can't hear you, and it will make the echo go away. Does that make sense?
Cool. I'm gonna do that.
All right. So you probably can't hear us right now, but go ahead.
I heard that you were looking for creepy stories and such, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Right. So here's one. So for undergrad, I went to the Catholic University of America. And yes, that is its proper name. It is the Catholic University of America. Everybody forgets about us because of Georgetown. We're the other Catholic school in DC. But so everybody is familiar with The Exorcist, I am sure, and The Exorcist stairs, which are near Georgetown University. But legend goes that the book that contains the notes from the exorcism that inspired The Exorcist were actually kept at Catholic University in the exorcism room in the top of Caldwell Hall.
Exorcism room.
An exorcism room on campus.
What?
Which is weird because exorcisms are actually incredibly rare in Catholicism. Like there are other branches of Christianity where like anything happens and they're like, an exorcism. But they're incredibly rare in Catholicism. Like to get approved for an exorcism, like almost never happens. But we had an exorcism room on campus for some reason. And so the story goes that that book was kept on our campus in the exorcism room. And there was a story that went around that there was a kid who wanted to like find the book with all the notes and like see what was in it. And so he crept into Caldwell late at night, found the book, and then a grim-faced priest appeared in the doorway and demanded that he give the book back. But the book wouldn't leave his hands.
Ooh.
And he tried to put it down. He tried to give it to the priest, but he couldn't let go of it. And eventually, after trying so hard to get the book out of his hands, he stumbled out of a window and fell and shattered his ankle. And apparently, when he went to the hospital, the nurse who treated him said that it was not the first time that she had treated a student from Catholic for having a shattered ankle after messing around in Caldwell Hall.
Okay, that's really creepy. I don't know if you can hear us now, but that
Tell that story when giving campus tours.
You're not allowed to tell that story when giving campus tours, or you used to? You can't.
Not anymore, but I did.
Yeah. That'd be great if you still told it. Like now, you still went and told that story. That'd be hilarious. Yeah. Jess, thank you so much. That's an amazing story. We really appreciate it.
10 years ago.
Wow.
All right. Thanks, Jess. See you later. That was super fun.
That's so fun. Yay. A round of applause for our inaugural guest. I can't clap my hands, but I'll tap my shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
I can kind of go
Yeah, the little golf clap.
little doll hands. Yeah, creepy doll hands.
That was really, really funny.
Exorcisms, man.
Yeah.
That shit's crazy.
That shit is crazy. Like possessions and demon possessions is something that like super freaks me out.
Bleeding
and, like,
statues and shit.
yeah, bleeding statues, but like especially and like right, like even demon stuff. Like demon stuff freaks me out because I feel like even talking about it like is almost like inviting them in a way, right? In a way that is creepy to me.
Yeah.
So I'm always careful, especially with like because demons are tricky.
Yeah, you should have been here for fucking Annabelle the Haunted Doll, man. You would have shit yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad I wasn't. That's too much for me. I can't deal with that. Annabelle freaks me out. Annabelle freaks me out. So yeah, those are my ghost stories, and those are the ghost stories. I don't know if we have anybody else in the Zoom. So while we are waiting to see if anybody else hops in, I am going to tell this one last story about Fort Warren and the Lady in Black because it's just a really cool story. Why not? We got a little time, and then if nobody hops in to tell us any more stories, then we'll call it a night. How's that sound, Jess?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. So this last story takes place here in Boston Harbor. There, as everybody hopefully knows, if not, you're learning here on the show. There are a bunch of harbor islands that were a lot of them had people on them, like for a really long time. Now you can just go like camp there and picnic and stuff like that. But people were there, and one of the ones that's the furthest out is George's Island, which is like 7 miles out to sea. So I don't know if that still counts as in the harbor, but I guess it's still right at the edge of it. And that's where Fort Warren was. And Fort Warren was a fort during the Revolutionary War that held prisoners. And during the Civil War, not the Confederate, during the Civil War, during the Revolutionary War, it was a fort that was a real fort. And then during the Civil War, right, that was turned into a prison. And so during the Civil War, there was a Confederate soldier, Private Lanier who was captured and taken to Fort Warren on George's Island. So his wife, Melanie Lanier, she wasn't going to let her husband go. They were in love, and she decided that she was going to go rescue him. So they're from South Carolina. So she makes her way all the way up to Boston using sort of Confederate spies and Confederate sympathizers. And she has a plan. Once she gets to Boston, she is going to make contact with her husband who's in prison. And she's going to let him know that she's going to come and get him out. And how she's going to do that is she shaves her head. She's a very tiny, a smaller woman, and she shaves her head to look more like a man. And she gets on a boat in the middle of the night, and she heads off to George's Island. And all she has with her is rope, pickaxe, and a pistol. And she's going to throw the rope over the wall of the prison. She's so light, they're going to hoist her over the wall, and she's in. Plan works. Plan works perfectly. She gets over the wall. She's in the prison. She sneaks in. She finds her husband's cell. She's small enough that she can actually slip through the bars of his cell. And she gets in the bars of the cell, and she breaks out him and a couple of other prisoners. Now, the plan was, this is where the plan begins to fall apart a little bit. They have a pickaxe, and they had planned to tunnel under the wall because they couldn't climb all over the wall, and maybe try to tunnel to the where the firearms are kept, and then try to overpower the guards from there.
Yes, yeah.
But tunneling makes a ton of noise. They get heard by the guards. The guards come. A riot starts. And in that melee, they get chased. Melanie and her husband get chased by a Union guard until he basically sort of captures them at the end of a hallway. And Melanie pulls out her pistol to fire at the guard, and the guard bats Melanie's pistol out of her hand, and it hits the floor, and it discharges, and it shoots her husband in the head, killing him instantly. Melanie has accidentally killed her own husband. I mean, the Union soldier did it, but it was her gun, her pistol, her bullet. Her husband's dead. She's captured and is hung on that same island 8 days later. She's hung on that island 8 days later. And almost immediately, people begin to see a lady in black walking that island at dawn and at dusk. And that has been seen now for, I don't know, 200 years, right? Since like 1800 to now, there have been sightings of that all the time of a woman in black walking the island looking for her husband. And that's Melanie Lanier.
Wow.
So I think that's a pretty cool story.
Stuff. Yeah, you had some more details that I knew about. I think I read that her gun misfired is what I heard. So I thought
yeah,
maybe it was still in her hand. Details go.
It's a debate. I was reading a few different takes on it, and there's definitely the school that her gun misfired, and then there's the school that it was knocked out of her hand and misfired because of that.
Okay.
But yeah. Either way, tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic and sad.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the end of our show. What a creepy hour. Thank you everyone who has spent it with us. We here at 2MB Studios. We do shows 7 days a week. So like and subscribe. Follow us on the Patreon. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/2MB Studios. Or 2M. What's that Patreon, Matt? Is it Too Much Bread or 2MB? We're going to throw it up there, and you can follow us there if you don't want to give your Bezos bucks. If you just want to give us regular old American dollars, that's cool too. And yeah, creepy crawly time. It's always the best. Jess, what are you feeling for next week? Do you think?
Ooh, I don't know. Let's see. So we started with aliens.
Or in 2 weeks, I should say. Yeah, aliens.
Yeah, we did aliens. Then we did creepy haunted doll. Then we did
Mothman.
Mothman was next, and now we're doing ghosts.
Yep.
So I feel like maybe we've swung back around to aliens again. I don't know.
That sounds good. Good. So maybe we'll do aliens, and we'll have another really creepy alien story for you about unexplained phenomena, or maybe abductions or first contact, something creepy like that.
I got a good one on the old noggin. That I got a couple ideas. Oh yeah, the Men in Black. We gotta do the Men in Black.
Oh yeah, Men in Black. I talked about them the other day. Yeah.
No way. No, I feel like we should do a few more aliens before we hit the Men in Black, because I feel like that's like a whole other fucking can of worms. Before we go though, we gotta do our plugs. We gotta plug our stuff.
Do it.
And my biggest plug is tomorrow. Saturday at 8 p.m. is the Backyard Barbacoa with the QAWs. I don't know. We don't do it like every month. We do like every 6 weeks or something like that. It's our pay-per-view. And my character, the Slamazon, will be fighting in a fatal four-way Hell in a Cell match for the Women's Championship. I think it was the main event. Then maybe it got... Yeah, it's going to be 4 hours, so block off your night.
Terrifying.
It's a lot of fun.
Terrifying and fun.
Terrifying.
Wear a diaper, get your best adult garments, and strap in. Because it's going to be a whole night.
It's going to be a whole thing. So you're going to
that's
make sure
tomorrow
you
night.
for that. Yeah, tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
Fantastic. And of course, on Monday at 9, catch the finale of Run On. We have our Tournament of Champions is going on. We're going to see if anybody can stop Rob Crean. I'm not sure they can, but we have 4 more champions on Monday who will be vying to for the opportunity. And then on Tuesday, catch What's Going On. It's a roundtable show where I bring some of my favorite people on the show, and we all just hang out and chat. Last week, we talked about who we would cast as Beavis in the Cornholio movie, and how Timothy Chalamet would be a perfect choice. I believe is who we chose. Yeah, catch that Monday at 9 and Tuesday at 9. And yeah, thanks everybody. This has been really fun.
Yeah, we're so glad that you were here, and make sure you sleep tight. Don't let the bedbugs bite.
See you
And
in
most
2
of
weeks.
all, I hope that you got creeped out.
Ooh.